In 2010, Gap made one of the most spectacularly short-lived branding decisions in corporate history. A logo so disliked, so instantly roasted, and so universally rejected that it survived just 6 days, which coincidentally is also the average lifespan of most New Year's resolutions. But here's the twist. Gap wasn't bankrupt, irrelevant, or collapsing at the time. In fact, the brand was still making billions. This was not the desperate gasp of a dying company. This was a confident giant that accidentally walked straight into a branding buzzsaw and came out the other side wearing, metaphorically, skinny jeans 3 sizes too small. Today we're breaking down how a simple logo swap became a case study taught in business schools, brand strategy courses, and probably a few what not to do PowerPoints shared in marketing Slack channels. This is the story of the 2010 Gap rebrand, how it began, why it imploded, and what brands are still learning from it 15 years later. And trust me, you're going to want to stay until the end because it only gets more chaotic from here, including the part where Gap basically asked the entire internet to fix their logo. Spoiler, it didn't go very well. To understand the disaster, we need to rewind a bit. Gap in 2010 wasn't exactly at the peak of its 90s dominance, but it wasn't struggling either. The brand still pulled in more than $14 billion in annual revenue, and while sales were slipping slightly, they weren't plummeting. Think of Gap like an aging boy band member. Their glory days are behind them, but they're still doing quite well. They didn't need a full face transplant, maybe just a better haircut. But Gap got spooked. Fast fashion brands like H&M, Zara, and Uniqlo were rising fast, and Gap's leadership convinced themselves the problem wasn't pricing, product strategy, or the fact that teens had suddenly decided jeans should fit like a vacuum-sealed sausage. No, the leadership zeroed in on one culprit: the logo. Never mind the original serif, Gap in the blue box had decades of equity, familiarity, and emotional connection. Gap was convinced it was outdated, like showing up to a tech conference using a BlackBerry. So they decided it was time for a bold leap forward. And by bold, I mean they basically vectorized the word Gap in Helvetica, slapped a floating gradient square into the corner, and called it a day. Yes, the Helvetica. Okay. Because that thing says modern, forward-thinking innovation, quite like using the default font you get when you install Microsoft Word. Takeaway here is that misdiagnosing the problem is often more damaging than the problem itself. When brands change the wrong thing, they risk creating new issues while leaving the real ones untouched. On October 6, 2010, with no teaser campaign, no explanation, and no gradual rollout, Gap simply replaced its iconic logo online. Just swapped it out overnight. If you blinked, you would have missed one of the world's most recognizable logos disappearing as casually as an Instagram story. Within minutes, the internet erupted. And not in a fun, this is a playful surprise sort of way. More like a coordinated global roast battle. Branding blogs, design Twitter, which was a war zone in 2010 already, and everyday customers all had the same reaction. Is this a joke? Spoiler, it wasn't. Although it did feel like a prank, someone forgot to finish. Design professionals compared it to a default PowerPoint slide, a Word doc header for a high school economics project, and my personal favorite, Microsoft clip art's attempt at fashion. Users created parody version. Someone even made a Gap logo generator website where you could write any word and get it transformed into the same gradient square and Helvetica eyesore in seconds. It went viral. People were making fake logos faster than Gap's PR team could refresh their inbox. By day 2, the backlash had hit full meme status. Gap went from fashion brand to internet punchline faster than you could say kerning. The takeaway is that major brand changes require clear communication and strategic rollout. Without context, audiences fill the silence with their own interpretation, and usually not the one that you want. Hold tight though, the backlash isn't over just yet. Coming up, the internet goes full-on roast mode, and we'll show you just how fast the brand can become a punchline. Let's talk data, because this wasn't just a few angry tweets, this was measurable brand carnage. Gap received over 2,000 negative comments in the first single day on Facebook alone. Social sentiment analysis from YouGov that week showed that the brand's perception score plummeted by nearly 40%. Brand Index recorded one of the fastest drops in consumer favorability for a US retailer on record at the time. By day 3, over 100,000 parody logos had been created using that meme generator. And fun fact, that's more logos than most designers create in their entire careers. It was a full-blown brand revolt, and Gap responded in the worst possible way. Takeaways that brand sentiment can collapse rapidly in the age of real-time feedback. Data isn't just performance tracking, it's cultural monitoring. Facing a collapsing PR situation, Gap tried something unusual. They announced that they were open to public suggestions and invited people to submit new logo ideas. In other words, they decided to crowdsource the identity of a multi-billion-dollar retail empire. This was not received well. It came across as a boardroom hearing that the building was on fire and deciding the solution was to let the public pick the fire extinguisher color. People mocked the move as crowdsourcing panic, PR damage control disguised as creative collaboration, and the equivalent of a restaurant asking customers to help cook after serving raw chicken. Worse, designers were offended. For professionals who spent years honing their craft, the idea of replacing decades of brand equity with whatever the commenters suggest felt like a devaluation of the entire field. The backlash intensified. Gap made two catastrophic mistakes here. Number one is launching a new identity with zero explanation, and number two is then immediately admitting they weren't confident in the decision. It was amateur hour brand management. The takeaway is that collaboration only works when it's intentional. A brand should never crowdsource its identity as damage control. It communicates uncertainty and erodes trust. But stay tuned, because this is where Gap's attempt to crowdsource the solution makes things even more, let's say, memorable. It's like asking the internet to babysit your brand identity. By October 12th, just 6 days after the unveiling, Gap officially reverted to the old logo. The announcement felt like a corporate walk of shame. They blamed their intention to be modern and forward-thinking, and stated that they did not realize the degree of emotional attachment that consumers had to the original design. In short, we didn't think you'd get this angry about it. The speed of the reversal became the story, not the redesign itself. 6 days. That's less time than a package takes to arrive when a site says 2 to 3 business days. Most people keep a houseplant alive. The average lifespan of a seasonal TikTok trend, the Gap rebrand became a global case study overnight. And it still is. The takeaway is that when a brand reverses a major decision too quickly, it signals weak strategic foundations. Audiences want clarity and conviction, not panic-driven backtracking. Most people focus on the logo's aesthetics, but the real failure here wasn't design, it was strategy. First, Gap misdiagnosed the problem because their challenge wasn't brand recognition, it was competition, pricing, and the fact that young consumers were moving toward fast fashion cycles that Gap couldn't replicate. A logo can't fix structural issues. That's like redecorating a house when the plumbing is flooding. Second, they underestimated brand equity. Gap's blue box wasn't just a logo, it was a cultural anchor. You don't throw away decades of recognition unless the business is undergoing a total identity pivot. And Gap wasn't pivoting. This was just change for the sake of change. Third, they ignored modern rollout principles. Brands today spend months, sometimes even a year, educating audiences, teasing changes, explaining rationale, and guiding the transition. Gap did none of that. They acted like a logo swap was the surprise gift that everyone would enjoy. Spoiler, they didn't. Finally, Gap revealed that they had no strategic backbone. When the backlash hit, instead of standing behind the rebrand with a compelling narrative, they folded instantly. You can't claim a bold new identity and then abandon it at the first sign of turbulence. That's like getting a tattoo and then trying to laser it off during the appointment because it hurt more than expected. The takeaway is that effective branding is rooted in strategy, not cosmetics. Changing visuals without addressing deeper issues creates superficial transformation with no meaningful impact. Keep watching though, because this is the part where we break down exactly why the design wasn't the problem and why the strategy, or lack thereof, turned a small change into a full-blown fiasco. So did this actually hurt the Gap? Surprisingly, no, not really. Sales didn't crash, the brand didn't go bankrupt, and in fact within months, most consumers moved on and continued buying jeans that fit reasonably well. But the mistake became part of pop culture marketing lore. Gap's rebrand is still referenced in Harvard Business Review, NYU Stern marketing classes, rebranding guides, agency pitch decks, and branding Twitter arguments. Think of it like the Fire Festival of logo redesigns. No lasting casualties, but eternal cultural immortality. The real casualty was trust. Consumers became skeptical of Gap's direction, and internally the fiasco caused leadership reshuffles and a long-term hesitancy to toward bold brand decisions. Gap became an example of how not to handle change. And while other brands like Tropicana, Kraft, or even the BBC at times have experienced rough redesign rollouts, none have matched the meme-fueled velocity of Gap's 6-day implosion. Not every mistake destroys a business, but some damages your reputation for years. Brand perception is a long game, and every high-profile misstep becomes part of your story. So what can brands learn from the Gap crisis, besides don't use gradient squares? First, respect your legacy. If your brand holds nostalgic or cultural value, you don't nuke that equity without a compelling reason. Evolution works, but revolution is risky. Second, explain your decisions. Audiences are smarter, more vocal, and more emotionally connected to your brand than ever. Dropping a major change without context invites suspicion, not excitement. And third, don't crowdsource your identity in a panic. Collaboration is powerful when intentional, but when used as an apology, it comes across as we've got no idea what we're doing. Fourth is to be confident. If you've done your research, tested your strategy, and built a solid rationale, commit to it. The public may resist at first, that's normal. But if your brand retreats instantly, you send a message that you weren't sure either. And finally, understand that a logo is rarely the solution to deeper strategic issues. Branding is the expression of a business strategy, not a band-aid for it. The takeaway is that modern branding is a conversation, not a broadcast. Change must be intentional, contextualized, and grounded in real consumer insight, or the audience will take the narrative into their own hands. And don't click away just yet. At the end, we'll pull it all together and reveal the key lessons that every brand should learn before attempting its own 6-day adventure. The 2010 Gap rebrand has earned a permanent spot in marketing legend. Not because the logo was bad, but because the process was. It's a perfect example of how even the world's biggest companies can misunderstand their audience, misread their market, and mishandle a rollout catastrophically. But also, it gave us some incredible memes. And at the end of the day, isn't that its own small gift to the internet? I'm Rob, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments which brand breakdown you would like to see next.
Want to grow your brand? Visit designrush.com.